there was another big story that came out of last night's game, and it is an increasingly big story because it's a guy who has been nothing short of phenomenal to this point. Ranger Suarez has been astounding. And remember, he started off the season hurt. We all kind of had an idea of what that was going to mean for him and the possibility of him joining this rotation. We all know that the Andrew Painters of the world are kind of waiting for their opportunity potentially later this season. Nola is currently out, so it kind of does create the possibility that Suarez stays there longer. But you lost Jose Alvarado to a PED suspension for 80 games, and he's not playoff eligible. So the thought has been, well, is Ranger going to go be the lefty out of the pen? He has ice-cold Kool-Aid coursing through his veins. Do you have him become, like, maybe not the closer, but certainly a guy that you can trust in high-leverage situations? Look at this. Suarez last night against the Braves, 6 innings pitched, no runs, 8 strikeouts, only allowed 4 hits, had 3 walks. And you might say to yourself, well, Russ, I'm pretty sure that Suarez has put in a lot of really good efforts of late. Did you know that 3 out of his last 4 outings were scoreless outings? In fact, we're gonna throw over here to a Greg Murphy tweet. Suarez over his last 4 games, 4-0 with a 1.01 ERA, 25 strikeouts. Now, that seems astounding, and it is. But then you zoom out, and it's not just Ranger Suarez. It's not just Ranger who's had all this success. We'll throw out to Luke here, but Luke kind of compiled what's been going on with the Phillies and Phillies pitchers who have at least 30 innings pitched this season. Take a look at this shit. Bananagrams. Jesus Luzardo, 2.15 ERA. That's 4th in the National League. Zach Wheeler, 2.42 ERA. That's 6th. Suarez and Taijuan Walker, both at 2.97. Christopher Sanchez at 3.17. If you think back to last year, right, where this rotation really found its groove, and we were talking about, oh my God, how many All-Stars are they going to have in this rotation? Could they potentially send a Zach Wheeler and a Ranger Suarez and a Christopher Sanchez and maybe even a well-performing Aaron Nola all to the All-Star game? Could they all get an All-Star look? Could they all get Cy Young consideration? Now you fast forward a year, Luzardo's been incredible. I mean, Luzardo has been a hell of a pickup. We all kind of knew he was going to be a really good pickup in the offseason, but he has provided additional stability. And while Nola was kind of a disaster class prior to, getting hurt, Luzardo's really kind of leveled out this rotation. And then you have Ranger who comes in who is still playing for a contract. And it creates a very interesting dilemma. And I saw that a bunch of people from Sports Talk Radio last night were kind of throwing this out there, but they were going, all right, well, where exactly does Ranger Suarez fit? Because he needs a contract. You would think that if you're the Phillies, you want to re-sign him. There's also the possibility that maybe they would want to move him to the bullpen once Nola's back, or Nola's back and Andrew Painter comes up later in the season. You want to send Ranger Suarez to the bullpen because maybe you can't find a lefty on the trade market. What do you do? Well, it's pretty clear, right? Ranger Suarez is going to want to get paid like a starter because that's where the money's at. It's not necessarily in being a 7th or 8th inning guy. So he's going to want to be a starter. He's going to want to pitch as a starter. He's going to want to dominate opposing lineups as a starter, and he wants to get paid like one. But the Phillies, you could make the case, would be better served having him in that critical bullpen spot. But then, do you run the risk of there being a toxic situation there? And I'm not saying that Ranger Suarez would go out of his way to, tear down the locker room, tear down the team, because he wants to be a starter and you're going to make him a bullpen guy. He is under contract. But things can get kind of ugly, potentially. I mean, in theory, they could. And if you're Ranger Suarez, you might not want to comply with becoming a bullpen guy if you are dominating in the rotation. And make no mistake about it, he has found his form. Ranger Suarez looks every bit like the guy that we've all known that he can be, and in fact, he has been for years. But it does create a very interesting scenario for the Phillies because there are only so many spots in this rotation. There are only so many years left of, let's say a Zach Wheeler, for example. If I'm the Phillies, I think you have to figure out a way to keep Suarez in the rotation, and I think you have to figure out a way to sign the guy. Because you guys know where I'm at on Aaron Nola. I don't think you can ever trust Aaron Nola. I don't think you can ever believe that Aaron Nola is going to return to Cy Young form. I don't think that guy's in there anymore. And so, yeah, I get that you have a lot of money sunk into him. And yeah, there is virtually no chance that another team is going to want to absorb that contract. But like Suarez has been everything you've needed him to be and more. So why not go out of your way to sign him to an extension that makes sense for him and for the team, keep him here, and kind of build yourself a little bit of an insurance plan that if Aaron Nola ever does get back to form, all right, unfortunately, Aaron Nola is going to be the most overpaid fifth starter in the league. Okay, fine. He can eat innings as the fifth starter. Gets paid way too much money to do it, but fine. You can't necessarily just, I don't know, bank on the idea that Andrew Painter is going to be this bona fide stud and that Zach Wheeler somehow is going to keep pitching years and years and years from now when, like, I think pretty clearly he's got a finite period of time left. And he's still performing at a really high level. I love Zach Wheeler. He's a legit ace. But, like, he's not going to do it for 7 more years. So why not sign a guy who's performed for you in the playoffs, who performs for you in the regular season, who understands how to pitch and to compete in Philadelphia? You don't have the variable of a guy coming in here and then, can he stand up to the spotlight? Can he stand the bright lights of Citizens Bank Park? Can he pitch in front of these Philly fans when they start booing? You know, Ranger Suarez can, so why wouldn't you extend him? It's a very simple question. Now, maybe the reason is because Suarez wants the moon and the stars, and the Phillies say, well, no, we want to pay you like a third starter. Maybe that's what it is. But the Phillies are in this weird spot because not only do they have this glaring hole that Suarez right now is filling, but then they also have like the Kyle Schwarber of it all, where they also haven't resolved that issue. And I feel like every day you get closer to the offseason, right? Every day the season goes by and Kyle Schwarber isn't re-signed beyond this season, you are playing with fire. And if your idea, if you're Dave Dombrowski, is to play with 2 fires, with both Ranger Suarez and Kyle Schwarber, you're almost certainly going to get burned. Now, in fairness, Suarez has had some injury issues, and maybe that is the thing that Dombrowski's waiting on his camp to get a little bit more level-headed about. And maybe with Schwarber, you're looking at the age, and you're looking at the longevity of the player, and you're trying to use that as negotiating leverage. But like to me, your team is better with both of those guys on it. And the priority should be to bring both of those guys back. And I'm starting to find it a little bit concerning that we haven't heard anything about these guys re-signing.